I learned the rule too late. If I stayed still, he got closer. But before I get into that, don't forget to like the video and subscribe only if you enjoy these stories. Comment where you're listening from. And if you've ever lived somewhere that just didn't feel right, I want to hear your story for a future video. Alright, get comfortable, turn down the lights, because this one still makes my skin crawl to think about. I started waking up before 2:13 a.m. without setting an alarm. At first it felt like coincidence, the kind of thing fear tricks you into noticing. I'd open my eyes in the dark, check my phone, and see 2:08, or 2:10, or 2:12, always close, always just before. Eventually, I stopped checking the time altogether. I didn't need to. My body knew. The moment I woke up, the feeling was already there, heavy, expectant, like the air itself was waiting for something to happen. I would lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, every muscle tense, every breath shallow. The room felt crowded even when it was empty. I learned quickly what not to do. The first night I stayed completely still, trying to pretend I was still asleep. The pressure in the room changed. It wasn't dramatic. It didn't rush. It deepened, like someone leaning closer without touching you. The darkness near the corner of the room thickened. I didn't hear footsteps. I didn't hear breathing. I didn't hear anything at all. But when I finally broke and turned my head, even just a few inches, the pressure snapped away. The corner was empty again. The room felt lighter, normal. That was when I understood the rule. When I stayed still, he came closer. When I moved, even slightly, he stopped. I tested it over the next few nights, because denial is stubborn and hope is dangerous. I shifted my hand. I rolled my shoulder. I forced myself to cough, to swallow, to twitch my fingers under the blanket. Every movement felt like throwing a switch. The nights I moved, the feeling stayed distant, present but restrained, like something watching from behind glass. The nights I didn't, those were worse. On the fourth night, I stayed perfectly still for too long. My body screamed at me to move. My lungs burned. My heart pounded so hard I was sure it would give me away. I kept my eyes closed, my face slack, my breathing slow and shallow. The room changed, not visually, not in a way I could point to. It was more like the air grew heavier on my skin, pressing down on my chest, my legs, my throat. I felt him beside the bed, not touching me, just there. Close enough that the space between us felt occupied. I moved my foot. The pressure vanished instantly, like a hand pulling back. That night, I didn't check the cameras. I already knew what they would show. But the next morning, I looked anyway. The footage was clean. No glitches, no freeze frames, no man in the garden, just motion alerts. Dozens of them, all at 2:13 a.m. The garden view showed nothing moving. No shadows, no figures, just grass and fence and night air. Yet the system insisted something was there. Something moving too precisely, too completely to be captured. I began to realize the cameras weren't failing. They were obeying the same rule I was. They could only see him when he wanted to be seen, and he wanted to be seen less and less. By the seventh night, I understood something else. The man wasn't learning my house. He wasn't memorizing the layout, or the doors, or the angles of the rooms. He already knew those. What he was learning was me, my breathing patterns, my reflexes, the exact threshold where fear locked my body into stillness. He was mapping the moment when I stopped being able to move, the moment when panic became paralysis, the moment when I stayed still long enough. On the last night, I woke at 2:06 a.m. I didn't feel afraid anymore. That was the worst part. Fear had burned itself out, leaving behind something colder and clearer, a kind of grim understanding. I lay on my back, staring at the ceiling, listening to my own heartbeat slow. I knew what would happen if I stayed still, and I knew what would happen if I didn't. Movement kept him away, but movement was becoming harder. It felt discouraged, like my body was pushing back against the idea, heavy and resistant, as if stillness was being rewarded somehow, as if something inside me wanted to let go. At 2:12, the pressure returned, stronger than before, closer. I felt it beside the bed, unmistakable now. The sense of height, of presence, of attention focused entirely on me. I didn't open my eyes. I didn't move. For a moment, just a moment, I wondered if this was what sleep paralysis felt like, if this was my mind finally breaking under the strain. Then I felt something shift. Not him, me. A strange lightness spread through my body, like my weight had been redistributed. My thoughts slowed. My breathing steadied without effort. The panic that should have been there simply wasn't. It felt easy to stay still. It felt right. That's when the realization hit me, not as fear, but as certainty. He wasn't practicing entry. He was practicing replacement, learning how to stand where I stood, learning how to breathe the way I breathed, learning how to occupy my shape without triggering the instincts that said something was wrong. I moved my hand. The pressure snapped away violently, like something yanked back through a doorway that had almost closed. I gasped, lungs burning, heart racing. I didn't sleep after that. When morning came, I went straight to the security feed. The garden camera was live. The image was perfectly clear. 2 figures stood at the edge of the lawn, side by side, both perfectly still, both facing the house. For a long time, nothing happened. Then, slowly, one of them turned its head. And even though the face was too dark to see clearly, even though the camera never froze, never glitched, never warned me, I knew which one of them was me. It opened my mouth to scream, to move, to prove I was still here. And the voiceover cuts mid,